So you're thinking about moving to the Leesburg, Virginia area, but you're wondering, is it a safe place to live? Well, as we all have seen over the last couple of years, people are packing up their lives in moving trucks and searching for their next best place to live in America. And many of them are coming right here to my beautiful city, Leesburg, Virginia. But before you make that decision to move, you're going to want to know a lot more about this area. I'm going to share my perspective and important information about Leesburg, Virginia. I'm going to cover safety. I'm going to cover schools. I'm going to cover the weather and more so that you can decide if this is the right place for you to move. And we're going to start that right now. Okay, so you're ready to make the move to Leesburg, Virginia, but how do you know if it's the right place for you and your family? I'm going to go ahead and outline some considerations for you so you can do more research around them, ask more questions, know what to look for when you visit, and that way you can focus on the questions that are most important to you. And don't forget though, if you have any questions that you can't get answered, we're always here to help. I'm going to talk about 13 things to think about before you visit or start scrolling on Zillow. And keep in mind, we're always here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to cover most of the items on the scorecard that you see here from niche.com during the video. The first thing I'm going to cover is the cost of living here. And I don't have to remind you how crazy the market has been the last couple of years, and it certainly has been crazy here in the Northern Virginia area, as well as obviously Leesburg. And I'm not saying this to scare you, but I want you to understand that we are still in a very competitive market where we have multiple offer situations, houses going above list price, lots of contingencies waived. So it's important to know that coming in when you want to do your research on homes and purchasing homes here. So if you go into it knowing that beforehand, it saves you a lot of time and effort and frustration. In addition to that, we also have Zoom calls with people who are relocating here to talk through what the current state of the market is, talk about the homes that you might be interested in, show you what's available, show you what has sold and what those dynamics are around those sales. And we bring a lender partner in with us as well, so we can actually talk pricing scenarios with you, because the more informed you are, the more you're going to know what you're dealing with when you move to the area. For more information on specific cost of living information beyond just housing, market basket items, that type of thing, I actually did a video on the cost of living in Leesburg, and I'm going to link to it in the video description below, but you can also see the video on the screen here. Next, I want to talk about the housing options here, and you have a wide selection of housing options ranging from historic homes that are on the National Register that were built in the 1800s to newer construction, single family, townhomes, condos. And if you decide that your best bet is to rent while you get to know the area, that is certainly an option here in Leesburg, Virginia as well. So let's just talk about the three home types from a purchase perspective. The first one is townhomes. The average purchase price for a townhome right now is about $653,000. However, the price range is pretty wide for the townhomes. It can range anywhere from $300,000 to around $1 million, depending on where you're looking. We have some gated communities that are close to the Potomac River, so the prices are a little higher there. And then the next home type is condos. So again, average purchase price for a condo is $353,000. However, the range is fairly large, from the low 300s to the high 900s. And remember, condos are going to be purchase price wise a little bit less. However, the fees for condos, the monthly fees, are a little bit higher. So it's just something to keep in mind. Lastly, single family homes. The average price point for a single family home in this area is $930,000. And again, wide range of options. This one's even wider. You can start in the mid 300,000s for a small home on a small lot. And then you can go all the way up to the 7 millions, depending on what areas you are looking in. We have a couple really high-end neighborhoods here where the homes start at $1 million and go up from there. If you do decide you want to rent, I will let you know that the market is pretty competitive here for rentals as well. And the rent price, depending on the size of the location that you're looking for, can range from $1,000 to $8,000, again, depending on where you're looking. So just keep that in mind. And again, it is competitive. So if you see something from a rental perspective that you really like, put in that application, get that paperwork done, see if you can get approved, and think about what other things you can offer as an incentive, which we can help you with, by the way, for the landlord to consider you. Next up, I'm going to talk about, is Leesburg a safe place to live, by showing you crime reports. There's a website that I like to use to look at this. I'm going to share that with you right now. So as you can see here, Leesburg is a relatively safe place to live compared to the national average. So we're looking at a 9.8 compared to a national rate of 22.7. Our property crime rate is 25.2, which you can see here, which is much lower than the US average. Violent crime is really low, which we talked about, and the property crime is here. So this little chart right here can show you, here's the United States average, and then here is Leesburg, and here is Virginia overall. So your chances of being impacted by a crime of some sort in Leesburg is relatively low. Next up, are there walkable areas in the city of Leesburg? And I'm going to talk about 3 different places. I'm going to share my screen and just point out the different places that are walkable and houses surround the area, so you can live in walkable areas. The first one I'm going to talk about is the downtown Leesburg area. And so the heart of downtown is at the intersection of King Street, which is here, and Market Street, which is here. So this is the center of it all right here. And this is historic downtown Leesburg. It has tons of shops, it has tons of restaurants, it has breweries, it has a couple wine bars. So it's definitely a great place for you to walk around and check out the area. And as you can see, as I move around the map a little bit, there is housing all along Loudon Street. These are where you're going to have a lot of historic homes. Around this Goose Cup Coffee, there's condos called King Street condos. And then as you go towards different restaurants down Loudon, you're going to have townhomes. And then obviously these are all places that you can live, residential areas. So the second place I want to talk about is where the Wegmans is, and it's at Village Walk. And it is surrounded by condos and townhomes as well. So this whole area is a walkable area. And then you can see across the street from that area is our homes. So these are all homes. So you can walk over to Wegmans or over to a restaurant. There's a cinema here. And there are also apartment homes in this walkable area. So that's another great place to walk. So I'm going to go a little bit farther east on Route 7, and I'm going to show you the Lansdowne area. Let me grab my pen here. So all of this is walkable shops, but there's also condos and townhomes surrounding this. And then as you go over here by the high schools, there are tons of single family homes here. This is called Lansdowne, and it has a big community pool, indoor pool, outdoor pool, lots of activities. They got a pickleball court. They're close to the Lansdowne Resort, also very close to the hospital, but it's definitely an area where you are surrounded. Now, it's easier to walk when you're closer in, right, than if you're way out here, but it's still ride your bike with the kids or drive if you want to. You can come over here, and there's a Harris Teeter and a couple shops and restaurants and things like that there. Next, we're going to talk about the strength of the economy here in Leesburg, Virginia. And because we're so close to DC, relatively speaking, and we're close to an international airport called Dulles Airport, we are a pretty vibrant place for job seekers to come and seek out housing here. In fact, we have a really low unemployment rate. Leesburg proper, we're at 3.7%. So you can go to bestplaces.net, search any city you want, and you can find information on the city. So we have a 3.7 unemployment rate, which I said. Job market has increased almost 2% over the last year. And the future job growth is expected to grow by 43% over the next 10 years, which is higher than the US average. So we are a pretty vibrant community, and we are growing quite a bit. As I told you, since I've been here, since 1998, we've grown significantly since the time that I moved here. Our sales tax is a little lower than the average, the United States average. Our income tax rate is higher. So you got to keep that in mind when you're thinking about what kind of taxes am I paying. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is you do have to pay personal property taxes on your cars. I wasn't expecting that when I moved here from Ohio, but it is something that we have to pay for. We are in one of the richest counties in the United States, so our median household income is pretty high. And a lot of that is because of the job opportunities here in the Northern Virginia area. What's the weather like here? Let's talk about the climate. And having lived in Ohio before I moved to Virginia, I can tell you that the seasons are better here, and especially the winter time, where Ohio was very gray, very cold for a long time, like into March, maybe even April. We have a lot more sunny days here in Leesburg and in the Northern Virginia area. So it is so much better here. And in addition to that, our fall and spring seasons are longer. So you get to enjoy those two really wonderful seasons with more temperate weather than the tough seasons around winter and summer. That said, I will tell you that the summers are hot and they're getting hotter, but August is a brutal month. So you just learn to don't go outside. Like right now it is July, end of July, and it is 101 degrees outside right now. It's really, really hot. So just know that we have more sunny days than Ohio comparatively. We also have longer spring and fall seasons. And you can see here, we get about 42 inches of rain. We're a little bit higher than the US average. We're a little bit lower in inches of snow per year. And we really don't get a lot of snow here, but we get excited when we think there's snow coming. And a lot of people can't drive in the snow, but that's because we're just not used to it. But don't get excited about thinking we're gonna get a lot of snow, because we don't usually get a lot of snow. And you can see here a lot more sunny days than probably Ohio. I should pull up that comparison. But the US average is a little bit higher, but it's super, super sunny here, which makes the winters a little bit more easy to endure. Next up, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is access to walking trails, parks, and nature in general. And we have a lot of options here. As you can see from this map, all the hiking trails are outlined with the little hiking dude, and you've got nature sanctuaries and parks all around the Leesburg area. So you're never at a loss to take the dogs out, take the kids out, go for a walk. There's always a place to go. And one of my favorite places is Balls Bluff Battlefield, and it's a lot of hiking trails. It's right here, as you can see, close to the Potomac River. And you can go there and see an old cemetery. You can look at the battlefield. There's a self-guided walking trail that tells you what happened where. They do guided trails with live people on the weekends. And it's as beautiful as it is, it's also a very nice remembrance of the history that is surrounding the Leesburg area. Okay, so one of the questions I get a lot from helping people move here is, so what are the schools like? How are they rated? And there are a couple different sources that I point people to, because as a real estate agent, I'm really not allowed to say whether a school is good or a school is bad. And therefore, I let people do their own research and point them to constructive data that will help them understand how the schools are rated here in our area. One of the links that I like to use, again, is niche.com. They have Leesburg's map of schools and their ratings on this map. So you can see here, mostly A's and B's. I don't think I've seen any C's. And again, we've grown so much in the last 25 years that when I moved here, there was one high school, maybe 2 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. And now there's 4 high schools. There's probably 6 middle schools. It's been a while because my kids are older. and at least that many elementary schools in the area. So the one thing I will say is we support our schools and we support our teachers as best we can, given that we feel that as a community, we feel that the education system is really, really important, obviously, and I'm sure everybody does, but we will provide support via tax support and resource support for our schools. And if you don't want to go to a public school, we also have options for private schools as well, where you'll get a lower teacher to student ratio and you'll have maybe a little bit more diverse curriculum that you can take. So you always have that option if you don't want to take your kids through public schools. That said, my kids went through public schools. They went to great universities in the state of Virginia. They've gotten great degrees. Well, my one hasn't graduated yet, but he's a senior, so he'll be done at the end of next year. But they've done really, really well. So I don't have any complaints about the schooling for my family here in Leesburg, Virginia area. And I'm going to share 3 resources that I give my clients that talk about the schools here and the ratings. And so you'll get test score ratings, you'll get average ratings based on an algorithm from niche.com, and then you'll also have another website. So you can look at all 3, and there are more sources out there as well, but you can decide for yourself how you feel about how schools are being rated and what the test scores look like. So you can make a decision. Do you go public? Do you go private? Another thing to note is Leesburg is a very artsy, cultural area. We have a lot of history here, obviously. Our downtown area was founded in 1756, and there are a lot of homes on the historical register. And I think the downtown is also on the historical register. I think it got on around in 1980 or something like that. That said, that influences arts and culture in the downtown area, and it spreads out a little bit beyond that. So we have a great art scene with lots of galleries downtown. We have music with Tally Ho Theater, which is cover band music and actually original band music that you can go check out. We have a concert series with a very long-standing winery called Terrera Winery here that does a summer concert series. We have Music on the Green. So we are rich in history, culture, and the arts. So you will not be disappointed when you move here. You'll always have something to check out. And I'm going to share 3 different links with you so that you can check out all the different things we have to offer from history, art, and culture on your own time. And you will be impressed by what we have in this little city of Leesburg. Next up, once you find your family home, you can also find a spiritual home if that's something that you're interested in. I'm going to share my screen, and you can see here there are a lot of different denominational and non-denominational places of worship that you can choose from if that is something that's important to you. So you can get a sense of all the different religious organizations that are in the Leesburg, Virginia area. A question that I get as frequently as how are the schools is, are there hospitals close by? And you are in luck because we have not only 1 hospital, we have 2 hospitals, and we have a whole bunch of medical facilities that surround both of those hospitals. The first one is Inova Loudoun. And you can see on my screen, I'm showing you, this is Inova Loudoun. My youngest was born here. It's grown by leaps and bounds since we moved here 25 years ago. But you can see there's a lot of general practitioners, there's dermatologists, there's specialized care in addition to the actual hospital. And in fact, Inova Loudoun has been nationally recognized and was recognized in the America's 100 Best Hospital Awards in 2023. And then the other hospital, it's called LMG Cornwall. It's primary and urgent care. And then also surrounding the Cornwall Hospital are a whole bunch of other medical facilities. So you will find the care that you need, as well as, primary care and urgent care around the Leesburg area. All right. We got 2 more to go. So we're almost to 13, and I could talk about Leesburg forever because I love living here, as you can tell. So the next question is, what kind of foods do you like? And are there appropriate grocery stores, markets, and or restaurants to get the food that you like? And in my video, 13 things to think about before you move to Leesburg, Virginia, I cover some of the really nice restaurants and farmers markets here in the area. That said, we are a heavy focused farm to table community. And so a lot of our restaurants will have farm to table options. You have access to several different farmers markets, as well as big box grocery stores, from my favorite Wegmans to Super Target to Costco. And then in addition to that, the restaurants here are amazing. So you can go to fast food stores, you can have some chains that we have that you're familiar with perhaps, but then you also have very cool, very distinct, unique restaurants in the downtown area, and then also in the Village Walk, which I talked about, and also in Lansdowne Town Center. So you have a lot of options for culinary exploration, if you will, and you will not be disappointed by what you find here in Leesburg. Rounding out, number 13 is probably what's most near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. What is the coffee scene like? So we have a lot of good coffee options here in Leesburg. I'm going to share a map again, so you can just get a sense of how many coffee shops there are in our area. So you can see, again, here's the main intersection of the downtown Leesburg, and you can see all the little coffee cups. So we have people who just roast beans, loco beans. It's fresh roasted coffee beans that you can get anytime. You have Shake and Bop's Botanical Cafe. You have Trinity House Cafe. You have Courthouse Cafe. We have our Starbucks for those who are diehard Starbucks folks. We have Goose Cup, which is specialized coffee. And then we also have Market Street Coffee. And we have a couple others that aren't on this map, Simply Be, King Street Coffee. So you are not at a loss. There's King Street right there. You are not at a loss when it comes to finding good coffee options here in dear old Leesburg, Virginia. So hopefully the things that I've shared with you today is getting you more and more excited about moving to the Leesburg, Virginia area. And maybe you even called those moving trucks to get ready to move here. And if Leesburg isn't your jam, but you're looking at the Northern Virginia area, we are happy to help you there too. We just need to know a little bit more about what's important to you, who's coming with you, and what you're looking for. And you can reach out to us anytime, days, night, weekends, email, text, phone, whatever works for you. We are here, and we love living in this area, and we would love to share all we know to help you make the decision on whether or not to move to Northern Virginia.